Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back to your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Casper Network. So let's just dive in and let's start off with this tweet here. So, one thing that I keep getting asked on this channel is where do I buy my Casper at? And honestly, I've been buying it on MEXC. I've utilized MEXC, and it's not because I have an affiliate link or anything like that with MEXC. It's simply because I have had zero issues utilizing MEXC. I've been able to buy and withdraw immediately off of MEXC. I don't trust MEXC. I'm not going to hold my crypto on MEXC, but I will say uphold. You really need to do better. Like, I don't know why Casper is not a tier 3 asset and why it's not withdrawable. We have individuals missing out on 10% plus APY staking Casper, and even those out there that want to hold Casper in cold storage, like, you can't with Uphold. It's a big problem. But if anybody out there has another exchange that does offer immediate withdrawal of Casper, comment down below. But for me, I've been utilizing MEXC just because it's one of the easiest exchanges to really kind of move around on. And I've also utilized it for pretty much almost all assets that I've been buying, as well as withdrawing on there. So with that, I hope that clarifies where I am buying my Casper at, but I don't hold any crypto on MEXC, just full transparency. But let's go over to the chart real quick. So as we do look at Casper, there has not been a lot that changed since my last video. I've been mainly talking about this range that we've just kind of been going sideways on for so long. In fact, this range has been going on for well over, we'll go off of the bottoming structure. This has been going on for over 293 days. And in that video, I was saying, like, usually when we have something like this where we just trail sideways, we usually get a huge move. Now, that huge move is either up or we either break down. Now, what is the chances of this actually breaking down to new lows? I would say it's very low. Now, again, there's always a chance that anything can happen, but I highly doubt that we're going to see lower than what we've seen in the past. But also on this chart, I mean, like, this thing has just been ranging sideways, and we started to see a little bit of a price move. I've seen a lot of people getting a little bit excited over this. Honestly, this does not excite me. I mean, even going off of the lowest candle, we're up about like 20%. So this is nothing crazy to me. But one thing that I do want to talk about in this video is the potential that Casper does have. When we go over here real quick to the September 13th post over on Casper Labs, this goes back last year, but they posted this Beyond Ethereum 3.0, there's Casper 2.0. And if you guys did remember my first videos on Casper, I was mainly talking about why Casper is basically Ethereum 3.0 and why I believe that Casper is going to be much larger than what most people anticipate. It's mainly the technological advancement that Casper has well over most of the networks within this market. A lot of people think that this is just another layer 2, but guess what? When you take a step back, there's a lot more to uncover with Casper. And I do think that the team has been doing a very good job at relaying the message that, listen, they're not here to hype up Casper. They're here to build. They are here to work with enterprises and ultimately allow them to realize their vision on utilizing blockchain technology. But we do see here that Casper 1.0 introduced the most technologically advanced, secure, and accessible blockchain on the market, and it has only just scratched the surface of the broader vision that inspired Casper. Casper 2.0 is coming. Casper 2.0 will realize the most ambitious features envisioned by the Ethereum 3.0 roadmap at a time when Ethereum 2.0 is only just starting to become a reality, and where even the most optimistic projections put 3.0 at 5 or more years down the road. Casper was conceived as a proof-of-stake blockchain from its earliest days, and the network's performance has been battle-tested through all kinds of scenarios. So yeah, I mean, like, this is like Casper 2.0, we have been waiting for so long. They did say that they expect it in Q1 of 2023. I think that they moved it a little bit forward on in time. I think it's like Q2 or Q3 of this year now. But hey, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't really care how long this takes. I do believe that it will happen in this year. I'm not going to say, hey, like, we should already have had this. No. I think that the features of this, I think that the overall volume behind this in terms of how big this is is very substantial, and we do see new and improved consensus mechanism. The Zug protocol will introduce a faster, more secure successor to the Highway protocol that powered Casper 1.0's consensus model. Unified accounts, unified contracts. This is also a big one, especially if you were looking at, we'll just say like, it's basically allowing for Casper to have a lot better feature sets for contracts as well. Well, I should say smart contracts. But it's also this will power their overall vision of the next like million users, as you guys do see down here, because this is making it more user friendly and stuff like that. So this is going to be more of a simpler viewpoint on the network itself, if you will. And then also open validator model. If you want to become a Casper validator, you can do so. This opens up new opportunities within the Casper community for anybody seeking to become a validator on Casper's proof of stake network, which this is also another big one. I know that a lot of the validators actually on Casper Live, for example, are at max capacity. So this is going to be pretty big for staking. But yeah, we're definitely waiting for Casper 2.0, and I do think that this is great in terms of the technological advancement behind it, especially when you compare it to Ethereum. But one thing that I would love to look at is Casper's potential, because as we really look at Casper today, a lot of people bring up the 8% year-over-year inflation rates. I really don't think that that's substantial at all in terms of tokenomics. And again, we always look at how long it will take for the supply to double. It will take literally a decade. So if you think about that, you know, in 10 years, a lot's going to change around crypto as well as around Casper. I mean, look at how much noise Casper has made in just the last year alone. So going forward on in time, like, you know, I don't think that supply is going to be a big problem at all. And also as validators, if you are staking on Casper, we could actually come together and vote against the 8% year over year and stop inflation from ever being a thing on Casper. But I'm not too concerned with the tokenomics at all, or even the supply. When we actually look at the comparisons compared to other projects within the space, and by the way, remember that we are going off of market caps that are basically here during the bear market. This is not even bull market caps. Look at some of the price potential here on Casper compared to some of the other networks out there. And yes, we always look at Ethereum. You know, a lot of people bring up Ethereum and they say that like Ethereum is like the next big thing, that it will be bigger than Bitcoin and it will flip Bitcoin and this and that. Honestly, I just don't see a big selling point for Ethereum. I think that Ethereum itself has done a very good job in the last, 8 years now. It has done a great job in terms of becoming that network that has a ton of TVL and a lot of great dApps building out on it. But ultimately, I think Ethereum is like the cracks of Ethereum are basically showing, and it's the fact that it's inefficient for a lot of the major enterprise grade use cases, which opens the door for opportunities for networks like Casper, like Hedera, etc. So as we look at what the next generation of blockchain technology will be, you know, you have Bitcoin, you have Ethereum, but then what's the next big one? And I think that a lot of networks are kind of competing for that, but I don't think that's going to be a big deal. I think that we're going to start to see a big shift in the market away from, okay, well, what network is better than this? It's going to be what dApps are better than what dApps on other networks, for an example, which we kind of talked about with XDC. I think that XDC has a very good chance of becoming a $200 billion plus asset as well. But like, we're talking about market caps that are in the 200 or like the $100 billion mark. And I think that this is, it's not a short-term price potential, right? We're not looking at, you know, $200 billion in market cap happening for Casper overnight. No, but I do think that eventually, I think a lot of these networks will boast these types of market caps. And the idea around this is, well, what's actually happening on these networks? Well, it's enterprise grade applications, and it's also enterprise grade adoption. So as we look at that, like, these market caps are going to easily be achievable in the long term. And when you look at the potential, right, the potential upside on Casper, it truly is remarkable. Like, even to $1, which would be a market cap of $11 billion, it would be the market cap of Dogecoin. This is a 24x opportunity run. Like, think about how crazy that is. It's a 24x to just an $11 billion market cap. And I'm not saying that $11 billion is a small number. No, it's not. But I'm just saying, like, to $1, this is a 24x from today's price. But then when you look at ADA or XRP or even, BNB, like, this is from, a 24x all the way up to 113x. Now, I know that looking at these, you're probably, looking at your calculator and you're like, well, I would have this much money if I invested this much. Like, yeah, it really is something special. But the big deal here and the biggest selling point around all of this is the fact that this won't happen overnight. It takes patience. And it also takes a lot of, you just sitting there doing nothing. That's the biggest problem with retail, is that they always want to do something in this market. They always want to sell an asset for another asset because something's pumping or whatever. But ultimately, when we look at Casper's upside potential, and when we look at what Casper is doing and the team behind Casper and their overall goal and their ambitions around this market, I do believe that Casper could very well be a 50, 100x, whatever, at some point in time in the near future. And when I say near future, I mean like in the next 10 years, I think that this market is going to change drastically. Right now, Casper is just trailing sideways. When this does, pump out, when this breaks out, the upside potential on it is very vast. I don't know where it's going to go, right? We always look at $1, we look at $2, $3, anywhere within that area up there is a very solid potential. But I'm mainly focused on what's happening around Casper. They recently launched the developer. This is their developer standpoint. This is their documentation on development around Casper and how you could basically, build on Casper, how you could build your first dApp, all this kind of stuff. Like, this is great, especially for developers, a little bit more of an insight on how to become a validator, all that kind of stuff, which tells me that they are, one, preparing for Casper 2.0's launch, which is very exciting. But also, it's allowing for a lot more adoption of Casper. But combined with this, we also seen them launch this Casper Ecosystem. This is new. And what's great about this is this also gives us a little bit of an insight on the projects building out on Casper. When we go over to the Casper Ecosystem, we do see the future is here. Explore the ecosystem of Casper blockchain. Now, when we look at this, first off, we do see the featured projects here. But then we also do see the newly added projects as well. Now, a lot of this is still in development. A lot of this is not fully live. But when we do come down here, it's actually pretty exciting that it seems as though DeFi is going to start to ramp up, which I've always been excited about DeFi on Casper. It's a huge area of opportunity. Obviously, TVL is a great selling point for retail. I don't think that's a major aspect to focus on, but it's still great. But then there's also some dApps here. There's 2 pages worth of dApps. Now, a lot of this, like some of this, like if you look at Hyperledger Foundation, for an example, when you click this, it's not going to give you a full breakdown of everything around it. But what you can do is you can look up some of these projects and find the articles on how they're going to leverage Casper. We talked about Hyperledger Foundation and Casper. I think that's a huge opportunity. But there's also a ton of other things happening in the Casper ecosystem that I'm very excited about. And I also look forward to seeing this grow. I think so far, what we've mainly been waiting for is just development updates. Like, there's 19 pages worth of projects here, but what we want to really see is Casper 2.0 launch, because I think that that's going to open the door for a lot more development, a lot more projects to go live out on Casper as well. And I think everyone is anticipating a lot more projects, because so far when we look at the ecosystem, like, yeah, there's a lot of great projects here, but there's not a lot of, projects that are really transacting and utilizing the network to its maximum capacity, which is what we've been waiting for a lot of networks. And recently on Hedera, we actually started to see that become a reality. So that's what we're looking forward to seeing on Casper right now. But so far this year, and even the last couple months of 2022, we started to see the team really focused on network growth as well as network activity, which I'm very excited about that. And also, the cool thing about Casper is you can see the blockchain stats over on this as well, the CasperEcosystem.io, which gives us a little bit of a breakdown on like volume metrics and all that kind of stuff. This is very cool. I would personally love to see Casper Stats is down right now. You can't go to Casper Stats. It's down right now. They're building something. Something's happening, which I'm very excited about. I don't know what it's going to be because, again, we're just basically waiting for it to come back online. But I would love to see Casper themselves implement on the blockchain stats section here a little bit of insight on the amount of holders as well as the rich list, which is always a great statistic to look at and really kind of compare and contrast a few things. But ultimately speaking, to summarize this video and really kind of just finalize it, when we look at the overall chart here, we do have an opportunity in front of us, and I think that's a very large one. You know, we've looked at other networks, we looked at other projects within the space, and you know, nobody likes to buy. How should I say this? Nobody likes to buy when the price action is doing this. I see a lot of people that will just avoid a project because it's not in like the top gainers tab on CoinMarketCap. And this is also another reason why a lot of the retail sector gets completely wrecked, is that, you know, they're buying candles that are, you know, pumping massively. Like, they'll wait until something does this to buy. And it's just like, it makes no sense at all, because what we have here is a classic case of accumulation, right? We have this sideways trailing, and you have this massive amount of accumulation happening. So when this thing does jump out, you know, it's going to be a major amount of momentum behind it to push it to incredible heights. And we're just waiting for that. Mainly what I've always loved to say is, you know, you have this vast amount of time between the time that we bottom to the time that we actually pump. And you got to make sure that you're utilizing that time to the best of your abilities. Mainly what I always like to focus on is the fact that I don't care about the price. I'm not going to sit here and wait for perfect amount, or a perfect price, I should say, to, you know, get an exact amount of Casper. What I will do is I'll just average in. You know, once we've seen this push down, we'll just say from the November high. Once we've seen this, where it was a 90% drop, that should have been a big signal to, okay, I'm going to start accumulating the range. And the range was just kind of sideways here. Now, I wouldn't be buying this. I wouldn't be buying a big push to the upside like that. But hey, now we have this range that is forming over here, which is most likely going to be the same that we've seen down here, which is we'll probably just kind of trail sideways and, you know, create this higher low structure, and then we'll just kind of have an expansion. And then we'll kind of repeat the same thing, or we'll get a fast break and then kind of just trail and have that, you know, upside move and kind of repeat the process, if you will. But again, a lot of people don't want to utilize their time accordingly, and what they'll do is they'll just buy a major pump. That is just not the way to do things. That's why patience in this game will pay off. You know, I love to look at ADA. ADA is a perfect example of this. ADA is a perfect example of this, because this has been one of those tokens that nobody cared about until all of a sudden one day it did a massive move. For an example, off of this range low, which a lot of people think that we're here on Casper, but then also a lot of people think that we've already kind of seen a lot of the price move in terms of like the bottom, if you will. So we're just kind of just trailing sideways. But off of this level here, all the way to the point where it kind of started to break out, and I'll go off of the EMAs here. It really took about 539 days. And that's off of this low back here. I'm not going off the March of 2020 low, because obviously this was an unprecedented event. But it did take 539 days for this to actually have an official break above all EMAs. And the craziest thing about this structure is the fact that, you know, going off of just the low back there, not going off the March of 2020 low, this thing did a massive 121x opportunity run. Now, I'm not saying Casper is going to do that, but I'm saying that it is still possible that Casper can do something like that. But the thing is that, are you going to be accumulating this range? Are you going to be patient enough to see that? Because a lot of people just won't be patient enough. And just to give you guys a quick insight, I'm not saying that 539 days is what we'll have to wait for, but this would be December of 2023. Now, is this the time where we will see, you know, those highs being met? It's questionable. We don't know, right? It could very well be possible that this is where we do top on with Casper, but we have to wait and see. We really have to just be patient. But if we did do that same run up where we have a 120x opportunity run on Casper, well, then guess what? 121x would take us to about $2.71. Almost the exact same move as, guess what? ADA. Which, if this is the case, then hey, I think a lot of individuals out there that have been accumulating Casper are going to be very, very excited. And by the way, this is a perfect example of why it doesn't really matter if you're buying between 2.5 cents or 3.5 cents. This move here is going to be extremely lucrative for any price potential that you're buying at in between this range. So with all of that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys have more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. So it's up to you all. Have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.